Hi there, everybody. Today we're doing our Tuesday presentation of AI for Work, Basics to Breakthroughs. And this is about putting together your quarterly business plan. And I asked ChatGPT to help me come up with a cool little thing. I started with define and refine, and I thought, well, maybe there's a rhyming word I can come up with. Well, I couldn't come up with a rhyming word, so we just decided on define, refine, and achieve. And that's what we're going to be working on together today. So, for resources for the free version of ChatGPT, if you are not already in the plus version, I always forget what's plus and what's pro. One of them's 20 a month, one of them's 200 a month. You might be in a paid version, you might be in a free version, but you should be able to get good content regardless. And just so that you know how to go ahead and download a file from the chat window, of course, here are the instructions on how to do this. Anything that we put over in the Zoom chat, you can turn around and download and keep. And that includes the slides. My co-hosts over here, Laura Bell and Rachel Foster, are going to be providing that information for you. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate you taking care of everybody who's attending. And I'm seeing some familiar faces. Love to see those familiar faces. You can go ahead and get the slides now, and we'll be giving you the chat here pretty quickly that you can use for your ChatGPT prompt today. And of course, I've been through this with a lot of people who have been in here before, but always good to think about it. We can be superheroes. And AI is giving us superhero powers. And the thing is that we're picking those up. People who are in this class and who are studying AI are picking up those AI superpowers. But you know what? There's a lot of people out there that are either scared of ChatGPT, they don't know about ChatGPT, or they're really underutilizing it. So that gives us a chance to be superheroes with our clients, with our team members by sharing what we're learning, and of course, making our own lives easier and have a lot of things that used to take so much more time happen much more quickly. Go ahead, read through these things. I'm not going to read each one of them to you, but so glad to have all of our superheroes today working on this stuff together. So, welcome. We're recording, and the recordings will be available in generally 5 to 7 business days. I was out for a bit, so our last set of recordings are running a little bit late. Laura did get them up, but I need to put together the announcement. But you guys know where that page is because you've gone out and looked at those before. And we will close the doors to the late arrivals. Generally, about 10 minutes is where we release the prompt, and we do close the door at that point. But until then, welcome, everybody. And watch on confidential information that you're not putting anything out there that you wouldn't want. It's kind of like emails. You don't want to put things in an email that you wouldn't want a lot of other people to see. So treat ChatGPT the same way. And not sure if we're going to do breakout sessions today or if we're going to just convene as a group. We'll figure that out when we get there. But if we have breakout sessions, you'll see a timer on your screen. And if we're just going to work as a group, then I'll keep an eye on the time for us. If we're in a breakout session and we say we're going back to the main session, it will feel like you got kicked out, but you didn't. Just hang in there. We will bring you back in. We don't want to miss you. How I got involved in AI, this is a story a lot of you have heard me talk about before, but I started exploring it. Now it's probably a year and 9 months or so, and I got hooked and started thinking AI first. It's a real mental transition. But the other thing is that fueled a lot of that was I found that I could finally move beyond numbers to help our clients. And then I turned around and joined the Simple AI Consultants Group. And a lot of us share information with each other. There are some fantastic training options that the free thing I'm going to make available to you guys here in the very near future because I think you get a lot out of it and you can supplement what you're getting through these classes too. But the big thing I found out was, man, you can use this for any role in any organization just by providing some basic information. It gives the context to AI to help you out. So this is the spot where I've said, you know what? let's spend a couple minutes and find out how you're getting involved with AI. I can't go to everybody in the group, but if there are any of you who are willing to share how you're getting involved with AI with your daily work, your team, or your clients, just raise your hand and just share. It's so useful. We find internally if we share with each other, we learn so much. So I'd love to have you guys talk about what you're doing. So just raise your hand. I'm going to let you guys talk for a minute. Okay. I see Michael. You want to unmute yourself?
Hey there. Hey, everybody that I invited from Woodard. Good to see y'all here. I use it a lot for email responses and all of that. I also use it for developing blog posts, and then I take it and use it for social media posts. But there's an AI summit today, and Ryan, the future firm Ryan, was showing us his clone, and his clone did the presentation. And it was pretty impressive how AI is working in that arena as well. So just, it's amazing.
Nifty. Yeah, continual amazement. A while here in the future, I'll share with you guys about a project I've been working on, and I'll share how AI helped me with that project. And it was a major project. Maybe next time I'll be able to roll it out for you and tell you a little bit more. Anybody else? I can't see everybody here, so I'm going to count on my co-host to look around.
Go ahead, Lori, if you'd go ahead and unmute yourself.
I've unmuted myself. I use ChatGPT daily as my personal assistant. Any question I've got, I'm running through chat. How do I find this? Where do I go for that? What's the answer to this question? I'm developing better prompt skills thanks to Diane's workshops and delving deeper into not just asking single questions, but actually asking a full paragraph of questions or two paragraphs or three in order to really drill down to an ultimate result or a chart or a decision tree, whatever it is that I need. I'm also getting really good at exporting the data out to Excel or out to a Word document, depending upon which way you need to go with it, and using that information in generating reports and information that's helpful to our clients. So love the product. Was originally one of those that was like, no, I don't want to learn AI, but I am a completely reformed user of AI. So that's my story.
Becoming an evangelist. One of these days, maybe we'll have Lori do one of the presentations for us, come up with a prompt. Yeah, that's what she says now, but no, that's great. Anybody else? Just I'm happy to hear from folks.
Go ahead and unmute yourself. Pam saw, I am so sorry.
That's
Pam.
okay. So for me, AI makes me sound, so I'm using it to help me with my correspondence with my clients. For example, if I'm going to send a report, I run it through AI to make sure that I'm not doing bookkeeping ease where it's not logical for the client. So it makes it a little bit easier for them. And also, I'm very concise and short, but I ask it to make it softer and easier for people to understand, and then it makes me sound better. So that's what I'm using it for.
You're building a relationship that way
Exactly.
with your communication. Yeah, nice.
Terrific.
Glad to have everybody here today. That's great. Moving on into getting going with what we're going to accomplish today in our workshop. So the flow is go ahead and save this particular PDF slide deck from the Zoom chat. You'll have links and helpful information in this. Then also go ahead and download and copy today's prompt into your AI. And of course, we recommend ChatGPT 4.0, but we do have other people in the group that are using different versions of AI. And so if that's working for you, yay. And today's objective, we're going to ask AI to help us focus on three big goals that you want to accomplish and convert them into a quarterly plan. And so I gave you some choices when I built the prompt. I gave you 8 choices of kind of big picture kinds of things. And then I said other. So if you don't like any of the choices I laid out, but those are kind of idea starters. And then you can define your own. And we're going to be doing that in a minute or two. So just kind of start thinking about which of these things you might want to select. And of course, you can reuse this prompt. You can go out and come up with goals for more than 3, but I thought that would give us a good starting point for today.
And for our attendees, Diane, we
Huh?
have added the quarterly business prompt flat text file for download in your meeting chat. Let me know if I didn't get it out there or if you need an additional download for that, okay?
And those are yours to keep and use again if you want to, maybe for quarter 4. So what we'll do is we'll start out and work with your individual results. You work on that yourself for about 12 minutes. I've got a little timer up here in the background. And let's go look at that prompt. And I'm going to pull it over. Basically, I've got this prompt laid out. It's set up. You don't have to change anything in the prompt itself. By copying and pasting it into your AI, it should run you through a series of questions and choices for you to make. And then it's going to supplement what you choose and help you create a plan all the way down to weekly goals to get those particular things done. So I always test these on myself and I revise this prompt about 3 times, 4 times maybe to get it to be where I wanted it to be. So I'm hoping it goes very well for you. So let's go ahead. I'll start the timer and then I will mute myself and take myself off screen momentarily. And let's do our 12 minutes, save and go. So have fun. Feel like we're in a countdown. Our timer just stopped. So that just gives us a good place to give it a start. So I think we've got enough people today to do breakout rooms. And so let's go ahead and turn that over to Rachel. She's going to tell you a little bit about how those breakout rooms will work and how you can join the breakout rooms and get a chance to chat through your results with each other. We'll run the timer in the background again for about 12 minutes. You guys chat with each other, share your results. What do you think of them and so on?
And Diane, if you would slide down to your reflections slide,
Sure.
one of the things that you can talk about in the breakout session, if you want to, here's some ideas on reflections that you might want to discuss with your group members.
Thanks for that reminder, Laura.
So we'll be opening the breakout rooms momentarily. You'll see a little pop-up, and when you do, just say join session. I'm just making sure that everybody looks like in a good spot. Okay, I'll be opening the breakout rooms momentarily.
All right. And then when you do join and the time finishes, the breakout room session window will close, but don't worry, you'll be popped back into our main session after that.
I could briefly in the background go through what some of my results looked like if we and or Laura or Rachel. I'm totally open to having you guys do that as well. I'm going to go to my group. Go ahead, Rachel.
I only got halfway through. I was helping.
Okay. All right. We won't put you on the spot. So
you can put me on the spot though.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I, first of all, the information that it needed to get from me, evidently it was able to pull my position, information about the company, etc., from my ChatGPT memory. So that saved me a little bit of time having to not input that information. It fed back to me what it thought it needed to verify. You work in this company, you do this type of thing, and here are your priorities. And I was able to clarify one of the feedback items that it gave me. And then it presented me with confirm or modify your top 3 to 5 business focus areas. And so I provided it with 3, it gave me 9 options, which was pretty cool. So I picked out 2 and provided it with a third. Additionally, because it's talking about a 12-week sprint or a 12-week period of time for planning, I wanted to let it know, all right, you already know how much time I generally work per week, but what you don't know is there's a couple of holidays coming up over the next quarter. I plan to be out of the office. I'm taking personal time, so keep that in mind. And then it could provide me with more realistic expectations as far as focus areas and plans. Once it did that, it came back and I went, whoa, that feels like a really heavy lift with the 2 or 3 options, and said, please cut back the number of hours that you think that I can devote to these activities. And here's a more realistic, what I thought was a more realistic number of hours. So that's what I provided to ChatGPT, and it came back with a little bit different outlook. That's as far as I got when I was able to go through this.
That's a long way. So thank you for going ahead and providing that feedback. And that's really insightful. I had something happen similar a while back where I said I wanted to be able to create what I think 15 lead magnets or something. And it came up with taking another 8 or 9 hours a week to focus on it. And I went, I don't have an extra 8 or 9 hours a week. I can't throw another 8 or 9 hours a week on top of it. So that was great, Laura, that you did that. When I filled mine out, I had the same reaction because they were really valuable things. And it gave me a week by week breakdown and the amount of time and what was it they called them? WAM. Was that weekly access meetings, weekly
I think
accountability
that's what,
meetings,
yes,
weekly
weekly account
accountability meetings?
reminded me
And
of the wham kind of thing. So
exactly. And I looked at it and kind of went, whoa, these are all really good things to be doing. On the other hand, can I layer those things in? And so I think ultimately it becomes a matter of weighing against the other things that we're working on. And are these other priorities maybe higher level priorities and would require some shifting around? The other thing I thought about is I looked through what it came up with for me, and I thought it was great. I couldn't have sat down and put something together as wonderful as that. I wouldn't have taken the time to do it. But I also thought this is something that if we have other team members doing this, we need to sit down as a team and go through several different meetings and start sorting out which of these things would be the best things to focus on, and then probably sit down and run it through ChatGPT again after establishing team priorities, because none of us works in a vacuum.
we have a lot of interdependencies within the team, and having that information and the feedback is really helpful as a team. We're not just standalone folks that don't have other things that we have to interleave on a regular basis.
And it also provides that structure to talk our way through some of the things that we need to be thinking about and pulling up to the top of the list, and how much time can we put in on doing some of those things. And of course, the whole concept in the book, and I picked out that book, The 12-Week Year, because I had listened to it a while back and was very impressed by what it focused on. I believe in some cases it was really focused on teams who were doing development work, tech development work, and they would get a sprint. They would say, oh, you're going to accomplish these particular things within a bubble. I'm going to call it a bubble. You need to get these things done to bring out the next layer of the technology, for instance. For companies that have a lot of things already going on, I think this is something that would need to be integrated, but the structure was fantastic.
I read both these books, the 12-week work week or 12-week plan or whatever, and 4 disciplines of execution at the same time. And I love that the 4 disciplines of execution was very narrow, 1 or 2 things that you need to focus on. But I like the sprinting aspect of this one. And so I forgot that they gave you more options to do. And I like the narrow focus, but the short time period too.
Yeah, I think it helps you. The concept, as I recall in the book, was that people sit down, they make an annual plan. And so then they relax a little bit because they go, yeah, we got a whole year to get this done. And the concept of putting a time frame around it I think is really good. It keeps it front and center. I just went through a book writing challenge, and the person who was running it every day he said, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. You got to stay on it. You got to do something every day. Keep going. And on the one hand, you could say, well, that seems kind of like somebody cracking the whip. But the reality is having somebody continuing to say to you, you think you're behind, but you're not. Just keep going. Just keep doing the next thing. And having him tell us that every day, both live and in emails, I found was actually very motivating because it's so easy to get pulled off in different directions when you maybe have a project that's really important and needs to stay front and center. It's kind of like also the book, if we're talking about books, the one thing book.
Yes.
So figuring out what that one thing is can be
And
very
also,
useful.
I always joke around, or it's a sad joke, but how's your New Year's resolution happening now?
Yeah,
Now that it's past
exactly.
February.
Yep.
I like
So
Diane's insight about the 12-week year being really focused in the development arena in a bubble, because as a former software developer, being in the agile space and working on a team where we had sprints and did our scrum meetings and that type of thing, it's a very good description of the concept of being in a bubble. You're in a small team, you're all pulling toward the same goal, but you're very insulated from doing anything outside of that next step, that next activity, that next goal. And so I like that analogy, Diane. That was a terrific analogy. If you own your own company where you're wearing a lot of hats, then keeping that in mind as you're going through the prompt is a good thing. And going, whoa, that's a heavy lift. Let's be a little bit more realistic, but still getting really great feedback from that prompt.
yeah, I was impressed with the structure. I mean, sitting down and figuring out that structure all by yourself, it just doesn't happen. And having it done for you like that can be useful. And I sent out to you guys, and we'll talk about it when we get back together, that little bonus handout. And I didn't make it pretty or add a logo or a footer maybe later, but the concepts behind the 12-week year for people to get. So we can pass that along for them. Glad to have everybody back. So I'm going to ask for one person out of each group to raise their hand and just give us a little bit of the feedback that you receive from other people in your breakout room. So we had 4 breakout rooms, Rachel. So anybody in the group that wants to talk about the group, raise your hand and we'll hear from you.
Go ahead, Lori.
I was placed in a group with what seemed to be 2 other people, although we heard nothing from the third person who was in the group. So I'm not sure if they were there or if they were sidetracked with something else. In the group that I was in, the other person who was in the group with me is really brand new to ChatGPT and was uncertain about how this process would work. So I was very grateful to be able to share how to paste this in there, how to follow the prompts and be able to answer questions and really give that feedback. I'm not sure how far down the prompt she got. I was able to go through the prompt for myself and took ChatGPT down a little bit of a sidetrack when it was making recommendations for me to do some better client tracking. I then asked it for recommendations for client tracking, and it also created a helpful sample of a Monday.com client tracker and what that could potentially look like. So again, when using these prompts, it's okay to follow the prompt in its entirety, but it's okay also to ask those additional questions that are coming into you as you're working through this to really get the whole picture. So that's all I wanted to share.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Michael has his hand up, so please go ahead and unmute yourself, Michael, and share.
There was 3 of us in ours, and one guy, I think something came up because he went off camera. But for me, it did a great job, and it wanted to do a Notion compatible download to put the tasks in. And I said, can you provide a ClickUp compatible version? And it did. And I opened it and there's some missing characters. But when I went back to the PDF, where there's some missing characters in or missing tasks in that one, the PDF had blank spaces for some of the weeks. So I'm not sure if there was no task to do those weeks or if it just freaked out. Didn't look at it in great depth, but what I'm going to do is create a project for quarterly business planning and then put this chat in it and then have, because it wants me to develop 35, what was it, 35 powerful questions to create a feedback loop for clients on surveys and stuff. So I'm going to have it help me do that. Daniel had some good feedback, but we kind of went back to not last week's, 2 weeks ago, the last session. And he talked about that and how that worked out really good for us. And he wants to make some changes to his website and suggested he look for some online, for possible some prompt ideas to have ChatGPT analyze his website.
Just wait and see what's coming up for you 2 weeks from now.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Yes, that means we're all in sync. Our brains are working in the same general direction. So that's great. Anybody else want to share?
I'm not seeing any hands up yet.
I can share. Hi, I'm Lisa. I was in a room with Stephen and with James, and it was our first time in this, thanks to Michael. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
So we just discussed our experience with ChatGPT so far. Both James and myself were unable to figure out the really long prompt you had. So I just took a piece of it and I put it in mine. So I'm using the Copilot. And then Stephen was using the ChatGPT, and he was gracious enough to share the screen and show us how he was parsing it out. And really, I think what I took away from that is that there's no right or wrong way to do it. And as you become more familiar with it and you're asking these things, that's when those prompts get bigger and are more meaningful to you. But also, like at this stage, from being a beginner, I guess we're just exporting it to like Word or whatever it is, and we're utilizing it in the step-by-step steps. Is okay, the first thing it says is, here's my objectives. Take that out, highlight what's the most important to you, and then bring it back into it and be like, okay, these are my 3 most important, and then you move on to your next step. And the AI in the background is helping you curate all of that so that you can make those kind of choices in which like rabbit hole you want to go down, what's best for your business specifically using the industry standards. That's what I got from our breakout.
Great. Great. I'm going to provide a little bit of background to that. The prompts that I provide for the group, initially, some of them I had people fill in on the text file certain information and then run the prompt. Now I've set up the prompt so that ChatGPT will just ask questions as you go. You'll respond, and then it will take you to the next step, and you'll respond, and it walks you right through getting to our ultimate objective. So you don't have to tear the prompt apart, because I'm not teaching prompt writing. I'm bringing prompts to the table so that you can begin to see some of the things that you can get out of, and some of those higher value ads that you can get from using ChatGPT. And of course, you're welcome to go back and look at the prompts, but you don't have to worry about taking bits and pieces of it and put it in. You can take the whole thing, throw it in, and then let it run. Just interact with it like it was a person talking to you.
That is really great information. Thank you.
So you can pick up those prompts now that you've downloaded it. You can go back in and try it that way, because I think you'll find it to be a different experience.
Oh, I'm sure it would. It was confusing for me when I was reading all of it. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. So I probably spent a good 3 minutes just reading through it. Okay, what do I do?
Everybody enters the AI world at a different phase, in a different place. And the more you use it, the more you learn. And then the more you use it, and the more you learn. It's a kind of a really nice cycle to get into. So welcome to all of you who are in that group. And again, thanks to Michael for inviting folks.
Yeah. So we are so delighted to see everybody. And within 5 to 7 business days of each of our workshops, we try to get the recording of the workshop out on our website. along with downloadable versions of the PDF slides that you're seeing on Diane's screen and a downloadable or copyable version of the prompt file. And we've got that out there for each of our Tuesday and Friday workshops that we've provided so far. And I can provide you with the URL so that you can go out and see what we've got there, take a look through it.
We've also put links out to the, let's see, I think I've done 6 articles, 5 ways we used AI for work last week out in Insightful Accountant.
And those links to each of those articles are on the same page that I just provided you the URL for.
So don't get overwhelmed, but there's a lot of stuff out there that you can go play in if you want to.
Anybody else like to share? Lori, you were going to share.
I was just going to comment that when you're looking at doing something in AI, in ChatGPT, or in Copilot, you really have to think about the fact that it can do multiple steps. It can handle these prompts in sequence. It can handle 20 rows of prompts and be able to sequence them for you. Again, think of it like a virtual assistant. If you had someone who was an assistant working for you, you would be telling them, I want to find out information about this, and I want to know how it's going to impact our bottom line, for example. So talking to ChatGPT or to Copilot, it's the same as if you were talking to a virtual assistant and being in depth and in detail at multiple blobs of information at a time.
Okay, can we do the countdown and see if nobody else is gonna jump in? We can just move on to our next section.
I'm not seeing anybody with raised hands at this time.
Yep. Okay, so thanks everybody for sharing. We appreciate that. This in your slides, I won't take time to read through this, but this is our little advertisement that goes along and accompanies all the background work that I put in to making these happen. And we'll have some very good free things coming up for you in the near future. These are all clickable links. And if you feel like going out and looking at our website, I've been working in construction accounting and job costing in QuickBooks for 30 years and a little over 30 years now. And I've developed some additional tools to help people with that. And of course, now we're moving over into the AI side and finding ways that we can help clients and other people use AI. Our tips today, this actually came from Laura. What's a token in ChatGPT? And this basically, tokens are just little bits, it's like a little counter, and to my way of thinking, it's a counter of how much capacity are you using out of the ChatGPT system. And here are some examples of the token count. And it says, how does it think of it, so to speak? And why tokens matter. ChatGPT has limits based on numbers, and those things are sitting there for you if you want to use that as a reference. You can have that, and I'll move on to the next page. And also, this is a repeat, but the stuff on the bottom is newer. So behind the scenes, if people are tech savvy and they want to know a little bit more about the process of tokenization and how to estimate tokens. But I'm just going to tell you a little story is that I have been working on a project and I would asking it to provide me with something. And then it would provide, and it was fast. Oh man, it was just flash stuff on the screen and I'd be good. And then I'd ask it for something else and it'd flash stuff on the screen. But the longer I stayed in that chat, it started getting slower. Not so much that it typed more slowly, but it would just sit there for a while, or it would come back and in the nice, friendliest way go, thank you very much. I will make sure that I provide that to you and I'll have it for you in the next 3 minutes. 3 minutes would go by. No, it wasn't there. And so I go, how's it going? I said, thank you for checking in. I'm working on this right now. It would be like that assistant that was going, oh, I'm going to go take a break for a while. I'm going to go to lunch. I'm not sure when I'm going to be back. So the thing is, what I finally discovered, I started asking it. I started saying, it seems like things are getting really slow because some of them would take 2, 3, 4 hours before it would come back. And it finally dawned on me. I said, you know what? Is this chat getting to be too long? And I said, oh, yes, it would be a good idea to start a new chat. So I go into the new chat and give it a little bit of the same background information and things that start flashing up on the screen quickly. So if things start really bogging and slowing down, you may be hitting your limits on tokens. And I started asking it about tokens. Are we using too many tokens in this chat? And it didn't seem to mind if I went into a new chat to do that. That is the information. Laura got all of that information. I pulled it and put it in here. So thanks, Laura, for picking that up. Gives you a little bit of background information. Michael.
Based on the slide before that, so punctuation counts towards tokens. So should we not punctuate?
I was really pushing on how much I was asking for it. For me, it would be way too much work to sit and modify how I'm typing, thinking, etc., to try to go, oh, I'm going to stop using punctuation. I just try to talk to it like I would another person. This just gives you a little bit of background information. And some people who are power users, and like I said, I was really pushing before I found that I was having that issue. And it resolved it by just going in and starting a new chat. So that's what I would do.
Additionally, Diane and I have found that if you do go into a new chat, or before you go into a new chat, say, I'm going to start a new chat. How can I point back to this chat so you can access the information in it? It'll actually give you some wording that you can provide to the new chat to say, hey, refer back to chat B as I go into chat C or whichever. So that's something that could be useful as well.
Yep. It'll tell you, oh, just when you start your new chat, say this. And so I just copy and paste it and put it in the next chat. So I want to try to get us done in the next 2 minutes. Looking ahead, I've been putting this on the side, but to remind people, have you been tracking your time that you've saved? Because it can be pretty impressive how much time you end up saving on some of these projects. And of course, the idea to try before our next workshop is refine your next 12-week plan. We gave you this gap of about 5 weeks because it can take time to integrate some of what you've come up with to actually do your plan. And this week on Friday, we're going to be looking at the book and applying it to our work, exactly what to say, the magic words for influence and impact. And again, a book that I've read and have shared with other people. It's great if you don't feel like you're really slick with sales. Man, this gives you all sorts of just really nice, low key, impactful ways to speak with people on a sales front. That's going to be fun to do. All right. And then on Tuesday, 2 weeks from now, our prompt is going to be about analyzing and comparing two websites. Maybe you want it to look at your own website, or you want to see how it stacks up against somebody else's, or maybe you just want to go look at some other websites and say what's cool or not cool about this other website. I remember being in classes where they said, here's a really high value thing. We're going to go out and look at somebody's website, and the experts are going to give you their feedback on what they like and don't like. We're going to have ChatGPT do that for you. Give you a prompt. I'm projecting, but this is what I'm planning on, is creating a prompt that will let you put in two different websites and say what the pros and cons are, contrast and compare. So that's what we're looking for next time.
And we have put the bonus out there that Diane put together, which is the recap of the 12-week year, a summary of it. If you'd like to go ahead and download that before we wrap up and close the meeting, the webinar, the workshop.
Cool. Thank you, everybody. And I'll just wait for a moment to let people do that.
I put in the chat, I copied that directly from today's prompt, and because I have it set up there that always tell me how much time I save. And so it says 2 to 4 hours for that prompt right there.
Cool.
For that prompt alone. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Wonderful. Thanks, everybody, for being here today. I'm going to stop my share.
And we hope to see you on Friday.
Yes. Take care. Bye-bye.